Okay.
Mark, you do it.
Away we go. Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on News Talk 910. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. And for those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. Imagine, if you will, a few guys sitting around a bar having drinks, talking business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190. Write that number down because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located about 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. Their vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is scientists. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. We're also on television, Comcast Channel 26 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. Now, today's special guest is Lizandra Vega, who's going to discuss business office etiquette with us. And since we're getting close to the holiday shopping season, we thought it would be kind of fun to have Lizandra join us from New York. And first of all, Lizandra, how did Hurricane Sandy treat you?
Not great, but thank you for having me on this show. I am still recovering from Sandy. She left a lot of debris everywhere and trees, but luckily I do have power, so I feel fortunate.
So, Lizandra, I guess we're going to talk about a little bit about holiday gift etiquette in the office space. And so, what's the first thing I should do before I go running out and buying gifts either online or elsewhere for my coworkers, supervisors, and or subordinates?
Well, the first thing you should do is check with the human resources policy, because so many companies have policies against giving gifts. So you want to make sure that before you go out to buy a whole slew of gifts, that you check that out and make sure that it's okay to do so.
So I can't just buy the office a whole bunch of $25 Safeway cards to go out and buy turkeys?
Not if human resources has policy against it, because you can be fired.
I can imagine.
That's no fun. I mean,
you're trying to do something nice and it can really backfire because of just a lot of issues with bribery and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So you may have great intentions. It may be looked upon as, you're buying something to get a favor back.
Lizandra, that's a good point. I have a building where this is many years ago, that I offered a nice little, gift for my tenant because he paid the rent on time, etc.
Right.
And he looked at me and he said, I can't accept this. And I said, really? Why? He says, well, I do a lot of work for the government. And he says, we're not allowed to accept gifts.
Right.
Wow.
Of course, that was in the old days when people had integrity. But let me ask you. Okay, so
surprised.
Okay.
Surprised.
Now here's a good question for you. How much should you spend on an office gift?
Typically, no more than $25. That should be your maximum if you are authorized to buy a gift, and if you wish to buy a gift, that is what is allowed as a tax deduction for your taxes. So for a gift. And so $25 is really the max. And that way, $25 buys something that is nice, moderate. You're not going overboard. You're not breaking the bank. And it also doesn't look like it's bribery, because it's...
Listen, for $25, I can be bribed. So I'm not sure about that. Give me a Starbucks card. Yeah. Also, what types of gifts do you think would be deemed business appropriate? Because, obviously, sending lingerie to your female boss probably is not. And we can all guess that one.
Absolutely. Nothing too personal. I would stay away from clothing, apparel, anything that has to be sized, because you can buy something for someone in a large size just because you don't really know, or you're a person who doesn't really, you can't really gauge what that person's size is, and you have all great intentions, and then all of a sudden it's an extra large, and you're giving it to a woman, and the woman feels fat.
Or,
She gave her an extra large, and she's actually a medium.
and I can see
So,
the opposite too. She's
I would suggest things like baskets, gift cards, things that that show that you have paid attention to the type of person that they are and their hobbies and things like that, and it makes you seem like you are somebody who is paying attention and intuitive, not somebody who's just looking to just.
Well, Lizandra, it reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where Poppy had a gastrointestinal issue, and they gave him fire hot chili sauce. And also, that other part about the sizes, that can backfire the other way, where you buy someone a size 2 and they're a size 14.
Absolutely, absolutely, and right, and then gift receipts. Then the person goes and exchanges it and sees that it's a clearance item, and you 50 cents, and they spent $25 on you. So things that are not really so returnable are great.
Well, usually I just go to Costco and get all the free food samples and wrap those up. But
right,
that's
or go to
me.
Texas Avenue and get the little free perfume samples.
Yeah, there you go. My wife loves those.
Hey, Lizandra, should I feel obligated to send my holiday, put my coworkers on my holiday card list?
Especially me.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. I think that it's a nice thing if you give them a holiday card that you write, but not necessarily one with the picture of your kids or your pets. That's really personal, and unless you are friends with that coworker outside of the office, I certainly wouldn't feel obligated to add them to the Christmas list.
Now you notice that I said holiday cards and not Christmas cards, so I guess
holiday cards.
we have to be careful with all of that.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Right, that's right.
Hey, how about our boss? What type of gift is suitable for a boss?
Again, I personally think that giving the boss a gift is a little bit tricky because again, it could seem like you're brown nosing the boss. But in a situation where perhaps you are the boss's right hand person or personal assistant, where you know a lot about the person, then perhaps it is appropriate to give a gift. And again, I would give something that is related to work. Sometimes I know it seems like a cliche, but a paperweight or something like this person drinks tea or
how about just taking them out to
goes
lunch?
to a specific coffee shop, or gets their shoes shined at a special place every morning. So maybe a gift card to there.
But what about maybe just inviting them out to lunch? The places that they like.
I think that again, it can be misconstrued. A lot of times, bosses and their say assistants or staff members will only have dinner or lunch when it's around a meeting, and so to invite, it sort of puts the boss on the spot. They may not have the time. They may be traveling all the time. They may go from they may have a very hectic schedule, and it may put them in a position of saying no, which in turn starts to make an awkward situation for everyone.
So what about group gifts for the boss? I know that I used to do that in my first job every Christmas or every holiday period. We'd all chip in and buy the boss something nice. Is that still something that's popular and or socially acceptable?
It's done. It's definitely done within smaller to mid-sized companies and or departments where it's smaller, tight-knit staff. And sure, and again, you shouldn't have to feel obliged to be a part of it.
I could see that being
if you're somebody who just started and you don't, I mean, it may come across as you being cheap. I think you have to really use your judgment.
Well, also, you got to be careful. Some people are going to want to participate, some aren't, and pitching in. But I tell you what.
Right. And one of the things that we do in my office, and I've seen, is that it may seem unfair for those who do contribute, but everybody's name goes on the card regardless of whether they give or not.
Maybe you just have to sign a bigger name. You know, and the little ones who don't participate, tell them to sign little. Okay,
right.
Lizandra.
Well, the ones who give sign the card, and the ones who don't just their name. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
Okay, tell you what, Lizandra, stay with us in the studio because we have to cut to a commercial break, and listeners, stay tuned because Lizandra has a gift that she wants to give out, but that we're going to have a little contest for during the break. But by the way, what is the name of your book?
It's called The Image of Success. Make a great impression and land the job you want.
Ah, that's an excellent topic. Okay, so here is our first commercial break. And let's see here. Okay, you've got to get the right piece of paper here. There we go.
What's the theme?
Okay, the theme is scientists. Scientists. Okay. Which scientist had a dog that would associate ringing a bell with food and salivate? The first 3 callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website, again, is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which scientist had a dog that would associate ringing a bell with food and salivate? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, email address, and speak slowly and spell out your information, your email for us. Spell it out for us one letter at a time, and we'll be right back. Excellent. You having fun?
Yes.
Good. Good job. Okay, so let me just save this file here. File.
So you'll reintroduce her as we go back in,
Of course.
who we're speaking with.
You didn't ask me about Secret Santa. You might.
No, that's the very next one I'm going to go to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I have actually a little.
And that was like a
thing about
two-parter
that.
with the boss gift.
Yes, exactly. No, that'll be a good one to start off with. Yeah, because I actually have a little. As I'm asking you the question, I'm going to go into a quick little story about what happened with us with the Secret Santa.
Or
Yeah.
secret Shlomo.
Yeah, exactly. And I was the recipient of it, unfortunately.
Oh,
And-
yes.
and-
I have an anecdote, too.
Okay. Let me just save this here. All right. And go get a new file here. That. Okay, we are ready for segment 2.
All right.
Okay, let me see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the trivia question, and then I'm going to mention that the first 2 callers who call in and ask for the book are going to receive it, and then we'll get into the Secret Santa. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So away we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, and we're in the studio here with Lizandra Vega, who is teaching us about holiday gift giving for our bosses and co-workers. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question: which scientist had a dog that would associate ringing a bell with food and salivate? Mark, you're salivating now. What is that?
I've been hearing all my life about Pavlov's dog.
Pavlov's dog. That
He
is
had a dog anyway.
he had a dog. That's right. And we're gonna have for the gift of Lizandra's book, which again, what's the name of it?
It's called The Image of Success.
The Image of
Make a
Success.
great impression and land the job you want.
Excellent. Okay, so for starting right now, the first 2 callers who call are 888-912-1190 and say, please send me the book. We will forward that on to Lizandra, and she will send you the book. And Lizandra, let's get right back into the questions we have. The next one has to do with Secret Santa, and how do you feel about that? And I got a quick little story. We had done a Secret Santa about 5 years ago in our office, and it worked well the first year. The very next year, it's one of those, you pick someone's name out of a hat, nobody knows what it is, and you put it right. I was the only one not to get a gift. And I mean, it was like very disheartening. And we're talking about, and we're only talking about $5 items too. We said, no, you can't spend more than $5. And I was like, gosh, this is, and what ended up happening was I found out who it was, and the person just was a little bit old. I just forgot, Oh, great, I happen to get that person, So anyway,
I had a similar situation, and I was really disappointed because when I give a gift, I really spend a lot of time choosing the gift and wrapping it and finding the right bow for it and really obsessing over it. And for me, presentation is very important, even if the gift is small. situation at work where we had a secret Santa or secret Shlomo, as we called it, nest, and everybody was getting gifts. It was like every day you got a little something, and then it led up to the big gift at the end of like Friday. And again, everybody was getting these little gifts, and every morning a cup of coffee or something, and I wasn't getting anything, and it was really, really, like, I took it personally. I thought maybe the person didn't like me. It turned out that it was somebody who later fired. Who was fired.
Oh, jeez.
So did you call that person and say, you owe me gifts?
Right, and so the person, then I ended up getting something from the office manager. Like, the person finally realized it because I was hemming and hawing so much, and I was telling everybody, my secret Santa hasn't
hates my
taught
guts.
me anything. What's up with that? And then at the end, I ended up getting a plant. And it was like not very personalized either, but it was something. And then I found out that the office manager finally figured out, this person is no longer there, and so they got me something from the company or whatever.
That's still no excuse. That person still owes you a gift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
that's what was happening, because very often you're not going to get the same person who got you. The other thing that has happened to me is that I've gotten the same person 3 years in a row. I've had to give. I picked the same name of the same person 3 years in a row.
Well, my brother keeps sending me the same Christmas card. For years we kept sending it back and forth to each other, just adding something to it. It's actually kind of fun. Mark's got a question for you.
Exactly. So and very often what's happened to me also is that I don't know the person who I picked if it's in a larger company. And so when that started to happen, when I first started my very first company, we were a small company, and then we started to grow and grow and grow, and I was with that company for 8 years, and by the end of that time period, I decided not to do it anymore because I didn't know the people who I was picking, and I felt like, who am I buying for?
Yeah, it's just all commercialized.
It just diminished the whole fun of it. I don't know. I couldn't even see the person's expression when they opened the gift. That's fun.
Mark's got a question for you.
Hey, so I'm the boss of my little company, and so what should I be considering when I'm choosing gifts for my staff?
Quality, number one thing. I think that oftentimes owners and bosses think that the gift is in lieu of or similar to a bonus, which is given based on merit. And when you're choosing a gift, it's really a whole other thing, and everybody gets to see what it is. Again, a small anecdote, I was at a company where the gifts were sort of tiered. I worked in a sales environment, and they made it based on your productivity, and it just wasn't the right thing to do.
Wow,
it wasn't about that. It was supposed to be about holiday spirit. A bonus is a whole other story. So that's what I think. I think equality is because then it becomes, it deflates morale within the company, and that's exactly what you don't want to happen. You want gifts to uplift your staff, and when everybody's opening, it's like, everybody got the same thing. It's an acknowledgement, it's a token.
So how about client gifts? Are they still considered, I guess they're appropriate. A lot of guys do client gifts, but...
Yeah, I mean, client gifts can be, again, a little dicey. You should also find out from the client whether their company allows them to accept gifts, because a lot of times we had a situation where we sent a very good client tickets to see a show, and they were sent back because the company had a policy where they could not accept the gifts, and he did not want to jeopardize his position for these theater tickets.
Yeah, that can be kind of embarrassing.
You really have to find out, and sometimes what I like to do, and I learned this from my very first manager, my very first boss, is that around Christmas, the holiday times, I happen to celebrate Christmas, but I like to take my clients out to a special lunch or a special dinner if they have the time, because that allows me to do something thoughtful and special for them, take them somewhere where I would normally not take them, and it allows me to interact and just really strengthen the relationship with that client, and that's ultimately what you want when if you want to strengthen
Sure.
the relationship.
Well, Lizandra, usually I just hand them a Post-it note that says thanks, and I can't figure out why I don't have any more clients. But a question for you: how should you open the gift in front of the gift giver?
Yes. Yes. As someone who gives a lot of gifts, I find it to be so rude when the person just puts it away and doesn't. It's almost like they're not acknowledging the gift, or they're too busy to open it, or it's inconvenienced them, or they think you might not have chosen something that they like, and
Yeah, they don't want an awkward
going to
moment.
return it. Right. I like to see the person open the gift. I think that it's very gracious, and so that's what I say.
And that's an interesting answer because I've often thought that, well, maybe I should be taking it home and sticking it under my Christmas tree and opening it up Christmas Day. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense. That you should.
Those are your personal gifts. Those
Yeah.
are the gifts that your family and close friends give you. I personally don't even do that. If somebody gives me a gift, I don't leave it under the tree to open it. I like to open the gift and acknowledge it in front of the person. I think that it's just so much more gracious.
Yeah. And what about thank you cards? Should we be giving out thank you cards for office gifts?
Immediately. And
that's why I carry the notepad.
To a group gift, as you mentioned, is it a good idea to give a group gift? And I've often gotten a group gift from my staff. It doesn't mean that you give a group thank you. Each person it may seem like a pain to have to write every single person a thank you note when they gave a group gift, but it's really gauche to give one thank you card, and put everybody's name, or just say thank you everyone for what you gave.
Well, what's funny is I remember when I used to bowl a lot, there was one guy who was getting married at the bowling alley, and so we all pitched in and got him a barbecue because we knew he liked to barbecue.
Right.
And
it's a nice gift.
It was very nice, and this was terrible though. He actually told us. He said told me. He says, you know what? I don't want to just say that. He goes, why don't you just tell everyone on the loudspeaker, just go thanks for me. Oh, great. So I did it, and I embarrassed him with it too. I said, yep. He said that he wants me to say thank you. So, okay, now here's another question for you because it goes on to the thank you notes. Is there a time frame between the time you receive the gift and when you should write the thank you note? The reason I'm asking this is because I'm still waiting for the thank you note for the great 8-track player I gave some of my boss in 1979.
I say immediately, but of course that's not always realistic. So within the week, typically what I say in terms of writing a thank you note if you've gone on an interview is 24 hours. That doesn't necessarily apply for a gift, but think about it. It is business. It's not your friend. It's not your aunt or your grandma who gave you a gift. It's somebody who didn't really have to give you a gift. So to acknowledge it as quickly as possible is best, because then you get so busy with other things that you may not, it may fall through the cracks, and that's looked upon so poorly. And those are the types of things that you always remember about that person.
Sure. And then
that they didn't write a thank you note.
And Lizandra, thank you so much. Were there any last thoughts or tips on holiday gift etiquette before we have to cut you loose?
Not to go overboard with overspending. It's a tough economy, and even when it's not a tough economy, it's not something that you have to overspend. Really take some time and think about what it is that you might want. What is it that you want your gift to say about who you are and what you think about the person, and do it that way instead of overspending.
Lizandra Vega, thank you so much. And you want to give out a website for our listeners?
Sure. It's www.lizandravega.com.
And that's
L-I-Z-A-N.
L-I-Z-A-N.
Twitter.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we have to cut to our second commercial break, and the theme is scientists.
Mad scientist.
Mad scientist, yes. Okay, now Isaac Newton was known for his research on gravity.
He was not a mad scientist.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, that's true. He didn't invent gravity with apple falling. He just kind of observed it, right? However, which branch of mathematics is he credited for developing? He didn't invent it, but he developed it. He's credited for developing it more. The first three callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Isaac Newton was known for his research on gravity. However, which branch of mathematics is he credited for developing? Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, and please speak slowly and spell out your email for us, one letter at a time, and we'll be right back. Excellent. She was good. Yeah. Kind of a fun little
topic.
Ziphael. You guys know the answer to the question?
Physics?
Apple tree branch.
Yeah, I thought he discovered gravity. Before that, it was just
He
floating
invented
around.
it. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
He invented
Actually, why don't
gravity.
you say? Can you say that? I like that. I know you usually play the straight one on the team, but I like when you come up with these things. Funny guy. We have to go back also to do the. Remember, Mark? Does it smell like chloroform to you? That was a funny one. Email we received for you was, once I've decided to invest with Pacific Private Money, when do you need my funds? And when do I start to earn interest? Okay, that was a good one.
Yes.
Smart listener.
You're going to tell the listeners about the new clean mark?
Yeah, good. That's right. Back to
You got another radio face.
Face for radio.
Yeah.
You want to go right into the? I gotta do this one Water's Edge thing, and then we'll go into.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Try to email that. Okay. Ready? Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, and I'm here in the studio with Mark Humph of Pacific Private Money. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Isaac Newton was known for his research on gravity. However, which branch of mathematics is he credited for developing?
Well, I always remember hearing as a kid that Isaac Newton discovered gravity, and I
Invented it.
used to think to myself, well, was everybody just kind of floating around,
That's it. So he figured it out.
Before he figured it out.
That is true.
I hate showing my ignorance, so
Yeah.
you got to stop asking these technical questions. I don't know the answer to that one.
Calculus. And in fact, when it ended up, the reason
I hate him.
the reason he developed it was he was trying to explain planetary rotation to his friends. They couldn't get it, so he developed calculus. Pretty cool, huh?
That guy would be an internet billionaire today.
Oh yeah,
At the age of 25.
Yeah, he was pretty sharp. Next week we're going to have, this week is the special trivia contest for the Water's Edge Romance Awaits. Situated in Tiburon over San Francisco Bay, Water's Edge Hotel sports world-class views of Angel Island, the Bay, and San Francisco. This highly acclaimed 23-room boutique hotel offers delivered breakfasts, in-room fireplaces, and Duxiana beds. Those are the expensive ones.
Oh, wow.
Visit watersedgehotel.com, and I think they're giving a discount to our Best of Investing listeners. Check them out.
Gotta like that.
Yeah, I think it's for December. And
Listen and save.
Listen and save, exactly. Okay, and here's the trivia question. Over 10,000 people visit emergency rooms every year with injuries related to what? And here are the rules. No previous winners on Best of Investing. Got to let the newcomers get a shot at this. And you have to email Edward at bestofinvesting.com the answer by midnight tonight, and we'll announce the winner next week. Now, we have an email here that we received from Mark, and it is, once I have decided to invest with Pacific Private Money, sounds like a new client, when do you need my funds, and when do I start to earn interest?
That's a good question. And for new listeners, my name is Mark Hoff. I'm president of Pacific Private Money Loans, or Pacific Private Money Inc., based in Marin County. And we have two types of clients that we serve. We are private money loan originators. We make loans to real estate investors. So we have borrower clients who come to us with loan applications that the banks right now are generally not funding. And the banks right now are generally not funding loans to real estate investors. And so those investors out there that are looking to buy fix and flip real estate in this market, or maybe buy rental property, or maybe they own commercial property and they need cash out financing. Oftentimes today, if you go to the bank with that loan request, they politely decline, because quite frankly, they're making gobs of money right now doing consumer home loan purchases, and they're generally not really interested in investment property lending today. So Pacific Private Money was formed in 2008 after the subprime meltdown and after the banks pulled back their lending. And so we serve that market that they've largely vacated. And so we do a pretty steady business, as do a lot of companies throughout America. But in the Bay Area, there are several companies like ours that are in the business of making these types of loans. And the other type of client we serve, and it's related to the question, is we fund these real estate loans using private individual capital. We're using money coming from people's retirement savings, and a very popular source of funds is people's self-directed IRA accounts, because people open up self-directed IRAs for the purpose of being able to invest in what's called alternative asset classes, meaning alternative to stocks and bonds. And quite possibly the goal is to get higher yields on your savings.
Which people a lot of people don't realize that in order to retire, they really are going to need a fairly good interest rate on that money, especially if it's going to be compounding over a number of years.
Well, and that's what's made private lending, also known as trust deed investing. Trust deed investing, you can look that up on the web. There's a lot of articles on the internet that will explain a little more the ins and outs of trust deed investing. But it's become very, very popular in the last several years because we're living in a zero interest rate environment. And so CD returns are dismal. Bond returns, for the most part, are fairly low. Stock returns, well, those are called equities because it's an equity play. You don't know what your return is going to be. However, when you loan your money, when you fund a security instrument, which is what funding a loan is known as, you're guaranteed usually a fixed interest rate. And so the loans we originate to our real estate investor borrowers are typically between 9 and 11% fixed interest for 1, 2, or 3 year periods, and it's secured by local real estate. We only loan on local Bay Area real estate. And so the client who funds that loan will typically earn on average 1% below the note rate. So if the note rate's 10%, the investor will receive 9%, and they'll receive that monthly because our borrowers make monthly interest payments.
Isn't that amazing? So the monthly interest is like 0.75% per month.
Per month,
That's
right.
more than people are getting in a whole year.
Yeah, right, on a 6 month or 1 year CD.
So the question about, when do you need the funds by, and when do they start earning the interest?
And that's what makes this, trust deed investing a little bit interesting, if I may say. And that is because many of the loan applications I get, and the reason the borrowers are willing to pay a higher rate is because we're generally expected to provide a fast funding, a fast loan. And so oftentimes I'll get a phone call and they got to close a real estate transaction very, very quickly. They were the low bidder. They probably had to do no contingencies, close in 10 days. So by the time I get the loan application, the clock's ticking, and then they got to close next week. So my investor clients, those who are funding the loans we originate, the experienced ones have learned that they need to be able to make a decision quickly. Now, they're not making a decision in a vacuum. We still have collected all of the information on the borrower. We've got the loan application, we've got their credit report, we've got their background check.
Sure, they're not doing it blindly.
No, we've got the preliminary title report, we've got pictures, we may have an appraisal, we certainly have an MLS listing if it's a purchase. So we've got all the data so they can make an informed decision. And of course, we've been doing this a long time. We've done 400 loans in the last 4 years, so we kind of know what we're doing, as do many good private lending companies in the Bay Area. But it is a quick decision. So they usually need to be able to supply their funds within as low as 3 to 4 days to as much as maybe 7 to 10 days. So there is a little bit. I mean, every deal's a little bit different. So it could be they should be prepared to be able to fund that loan within a week, sometimes a little bit shorter.
So now, how much time though how does the process work? Do you call a client and say, I've got one for you, and then they have a certain amount of time to decide?
We do it a couple of ways, and I'll tell you, it's actually what's interesting about our business model is that email is the most efficient way to send a investment opportunity to several hundred potential clients, and we do have a fairly healthy list of investors who want to see our trust deed investment opportunities, our loan funding opportunities. And the problem is sometimes we'll get a number of loan applications, and in a perfect world we'd be able to pick up the phone, make a few phone calls, find someone who wants it. But it's really, when time is of the essence, I got to shoot it out sometimes to 50, 75, maybe 100 investors, and that's more efficient for us as a company. But we've run into some situations lately where if it's a particularly good loan, we'll get, immediately within a few hours, we'll get email responses or phone calls from clients saying, I really like that loan, send me more information. And it's like, oops, I just sold it 5 minutes ago to somebody else. So it is an interesting game where the people who've been doing this for a while tend to have a little bit of an advantage. But when I get calls from new clients, oftentimes I will hand carry a deal or 2 or 3 to them.
Well, because you want it to be a long-term client.
Give them an opportunity to look at it. So again, I invite you to give me a call. We're at 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150. You can talk to myself or any one of my staff about trust deed investing. The company is Pacific Private Money. You can find us on the web at pacificprivatemoney.com. Or of course, check out the bestofinvesting.com website. There's information on there as well.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to cut to our third and final trivia question commercial break. And again, the theme is scientists. Are you ready for this one? Okay, Einstein's E equals mc squared. What does C stand for? The first 3 callers, I see the wheels spinning there. Okay, the first 3 callers with the first 3 callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website, again, is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Einstein's E equals mc squared. What does C stand for? What does C stand for? Make sure to include your name and your email address, and to speak slowly and spell out your email for us 1 letter at a time. And we'll be right back.
Energy equals mass times candy squared.
There you go, candy. Anybody? Anybody? Corn.
I should know it. I used to know it.
Lord, this is embarrassing. I'm just kidding you.
You're setting me up with these questions.
I know.
C.
Sorry.
Mass times coefficient. No, mass times. I thought it was like energy. Kramer, do you know? You're thinking too.
Put your hands together.
I was in college way too long ago.
And
that's before Einstein invented it.
Fortunately, I saw it a month ago, and I can't still comprehend it.
Well, I don't understand the.
Why it's relevant?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't understand how the equation actually works. Yeah, I mean, like I said, candy. I mean, how does candy have? I mean, if that was the answer, right? It's not, but that's close enough. Okay, when we come back here. One thing I wanted to cover is I just saw an email or not, a website news article. The owner of Denny's restaurant is going to start charging 5% surcharge to offset Obamacare.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And then I got an article in the weekend paper that featured Brian Burke and Jeff Lerman and Kathy Fetke. And I think the article itself is a puff piece. And, there's no new information that, anybody paying attention didn't already know. But
It was kind of fun. We can talk about how we the previous.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see how much time we have here. So, gives us 7 minutes and 23 seconds. We got the short one today.
How much?
7:23.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try to do much. What I want to start doing too is if I know who the guest is the following week, I'll announce stay with us.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So I got just a
Stay
little bit.
tuned.
We're ready, Freddie?
Ready?
Let her happen, Captain.
Ah, good.
Got it.
Happen, Captain.
Ready, Teddy.
Ready, Teddy.
Let her happen, Captain.
Okay, ready, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, and I'm here in the studio with the best California private lender I know, Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money.
Oh, you're too kind.
Too kind. Okay, well, here, we got the question for you. Einstein's
Now you're setting me
I'm setting you up for a big one. Okay, Einstein's E equals MC squared. What does C stand for?
Well, I went to college before he'd even invented that.
That's true.
Theory. So no, energy equals mass times what squared? C. I don't know, Candy.
No, the velocity of light. I know it has something to do with C, but energy equals mass times the velocity of light squared. So the answer, C equals the velocity of light.
I'm really not as stupid as I look.
Well, we're on radio, so that's a good thing. But by the way, Mark Hanf has shaved off his mustache and beard. We can see that handsome face yet again. Okay, now a couple of quick things here. First of all, in the news recently, an owner of 40 Denny's restaurants. So this guy owns 40 different Denny's restaurants. He says he's going to start charging 5% surcharge to offset Obamacare. That's coming up pretty soon. And, I guess it's legal because, SF charges, 3.5% to 4% surcharge for city's healthcare ordinance. But here's the question. How much of the money actually works its way into the workers' health benefits? Another surcharge.
This would be a more interesting story if it were a restaurant other than Denny's. I mean, come on. They have had their racial issues of the past. Now you've got Obama, who, is an African-American president. I just, the correlation there just bothers me.
Yeah. I don't like that word of African-American. I mean, I'm not European-American. I'm American. He's American. He doesn't come from Africa. Well, he actually might. He actually might from Kenya, but the typical person is, they're just Americans.
Well, you're saying you don't like political correctness?
No, I am not a PC man. I'm not an Apple man, so I guess I am a PC man. Okay, meaning personal computer. Okay,
Yes.
Mark, you had a couple articles that you thought were interesting.
Yeah, well, one in particular, there was a noteworthy article about real estate, and since I'm a real estate guy, I'm always bringing real estate articles to the show. And this past weekend, and it featured several past Best of Investing guests, including Brian Burke of Praxis Capital was featured prominently in this article. He was a former co-host, and Jeff Lerman, noteworthy San Rafael real estate attorney, who's been our guest I think twice on the show. We're both quoted in there, but I got to say I'll talk about the article just in a moment. I think it's a little bit of a puff piece because anybody who knows anything about real estate or has been watching the real estate market, kind of already knows most of what they talked about. The title was "Investors Rushing into Real Estate Deals," and the very first sentence kind of bugged me. It says real estate investors, an increasingly potent force in the Bay Area market during the housing downturn, are rushing to lock up deals before rising home prices wipe out their chances for profit. And I kind of scratched my head and said, what? Now, if prices are going up, they're going up on both sides. First of all, real estate investors are buying homes at distressed prices because if they're buying it to flip or buying it for upward appreciation, they're buying it at a price that provides them the opportunity to add value through remodeling and ultimately flipping the price. So they're
I think what they're getting at is if prices go too high, then it's not going to be worth it for these investors to buy them, put in money in, and try to.
well,
flip
you
it.
know, I just don't agree with that.
Oh, because
I think
theory,
a real
the
estate.
prices are still.
If you're a good real estate investor, you can make money in real estate no matter what the market is doing.
That's
Even when the market was going down in 2008, you could buy, fix, and flip in 2008, get in and out of a property within a 90 to 120 day period while prices were declining and still make a profit.
and that's because they bought it right.
That's because you always, you're buying it right. Now, if you
That's
buy it
always the case, yeah.
incorrectly, I mean, people always lose money in real estate by buying wrong or not doing enough due diligence.
Or sometimes they get lucky and they can buy at any price, and if it goes up, they can still make money in that.
Another sentence said the window of opportunity is rapidly closing as prices rise. Over the next 18 months, profit margins in single-family opportunistic buying will be compressed quite a bit. And I guess when you make a statement like that, you must assume that there is no appreciation. And so again, I just don't agree with that.
Oh, I hear what you're saying, because in theory, if all prices are going up, then the price.
They're going up on both sides.
Yeah,
If the distressed prices are increasing, the resale, the post remodel, the so-called after repaired
So
value,
you're still
as
going
we
to get
call
your
it.
profit.
Right, in real estate, we always work toward the ARV, the after repaired value. So you buy real estate and go, if I fix it up, how much can I sell it for? That's your ARV, your after repaired value, and you're solving for that. Both sides are going to continue to increase. It just doesn't happen on one side. You can't say, well, I can't get a good deal on a house
So
anymore.
what do you think
because
they're getting at then?
Well, I don't know. I just think the article is if the point of the article is, hey, you better buy now because otherwise you're going to miss out. That's nonsense. Real estate is going to be a good bargain for the foreseeable future. In fact, it's never not a good bargain, in my opinion, to invest in real estate.
Yeah, it's just a matter of which
Equity
one.
always happens in one shape, form, or another.
There you go. From Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money. He has spoken. Okay, hey guys, we're gonna have to do it, guys. It's just you and me today. Thoughts for the day. It's always darkest before the dawn. So if you're gonna steal your neighbor's newspaper, that's the time to do it. And I went to church last Sunday, and the pastor said that we work for God. So I stood up and yelled, "I want a raise!" And yes, I was shown the exit. Okay, next week is going to be a special one because it's just it'll be just after Thanksgiving, and Irene McDermott is going to give us some pointers regarding travel, the best frequent flyer cards to use, and other great tips. It's going to be a great show. You're not going to want to miss it. And also, people have a very nice Thanksgiving. We'll be back right after Thanksgiving. And tune in next week to the Best of Investing, because we're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. And your favorite host, your favorite co-host, Mark Hunt, will be with me, your favorite host, Edward Brown. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long.